All right. Good morning, folks. It's good to be here. I hope you all are doing fine. As am I. The last 2 days, Monrovia has seen a lot of sunshine, right? Yeah, it has been sunny the last 2 days. Today it looks like it's gonna rain a bit. How are you all doing? Lovely. So as you know, we have a tradition where we wait until we hit 1,000 views. We're already at 300 views. I am very glad to be here with you. As usual, I had done I just did a podcast. Was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago. Just about. Yeah. All right. So we have a number of things a singular issue we're going to be talking about. Singular. This podcast, this live podcast is exclusively focused on a singular matter. And I am provoked to do this podcast because of what I think are nonsensical, absolutely ridiculous and outlandish parallels and dichotomies people are trying to draw between what we did historically and what some people are trying to copycat today. That is essentially why this podcast is happening. And by the way, contrary to the rumors, the very silly rumors that the internet was going to be shut down today, as they did when they were in power, well, I'm not using a VPN. The internet is not shut down. The LTA quickly issued a press release clarifying, debunking, condemning that silly propaganda that the internet was going to be shut down today because supposedly the government is afraid of what the copycats are trying to pull off today, which already seems like a terrific historic flop. The internet is not down. We've already hit 1,000 people. All right. We now can begin to speak to you. I'm Henry Costa. You all know me. Some of you like me. Some of you don't like me. It's just the way it is. But I like me. And that's what's important, right? That's what's important. I like me. Okay, so it's peaceful today in Liberia. And I just made breakfast, some pancake and some eggs. Sylvester Teves Nancy, he helped. I don't know whether I fried the pancakes. He did the eggs. So I'm going to taste the egg. He was looking for garlic powder to put in the eggs. When was the last time somebody fried egg with garlic powder? Maybe the How Crew people can do it. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to eating, to having breakfast right after this podcast. But good morning to all of you. We now have 3,400 people watching. 1,400 people, make that 1,400 people watching. So why am I speaking? I'm speaking to you because as I said earlier, and which I would like to reiterate, that I am provoked. I am peeved. I am, what's the word? Apoplectic. I'm mad. When people try to draw a dichotomy, when people try to draw parallels between what we, the Liberian people, Abraham Darius Delon, Mo Ali, and Bwaka Jaliba, and tons of us, and what we did than ordinary Liberian people. The market women, the younger boys, and the very cross-section, broad spectrum of the Liberian population. What we did on June 7th and repeated on January 6th. That people are trying to make it look like the reasons for which people want to protest today are similar to the reasons for which we protested yesteryears. Absolutely not. Gibberish, ridiculous, not. The very progenitor, the very leader of the protest is on record for saying that George Weah, you remember the clip we released in 6 episodes by Mulbah Morlu, in which he said eventually it was liquor talk that we are. Folks, I'm sorry there for that interruption. It is my, the weather and my Starlink connection. But hey, folks, this is not true. By this time, in the CDC administration, George Weah had built 48 condominiums, 48 buildings, which today are still empty. By this time, in George Weah's administration, he had toned down his once dilapidated 9th Street mansion, and in its place have built a brand new building. By this time, in George Weah's administration, they have stolen $25 million which they took out of our reserve account with the feds. By this time, 16 billion Liberian dollars literally brought into this country in containers were stolen. By this time, George Weah had gone in studio and released albums or records upon records. By this time, auditors were getting murdered for simply doing their job. By this time, Mulbah Morlu had built himself a very nice house and was traveling with his Louis Vuitton travel luggage, travel bags. By this time, mind you folks, you see why the protest has no momentum? By this time, ECOWAS had come to town. The head of ECOWAS had come to town. By this time, Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers had come to town. By this time, the UN, the African Union, the American Embassy, the European Union mission to Liberia, they were all engaging with us in discussions because they believed the reasons for which the protests were being held or was being called were legitimate. And therefore, they believed it was serious. They took it seriously. By this time, the BBC had done so many interviews with us. They had people in town. Al Jazeera had people in town. CNN had people in town. The Daily Mail had people in town. Every major international news organization had people in town to cover the protest. By this time, why do you think that's not the case? What do you think? Because this is a fiasco. It is a weak, lazy attempt by people who were only recently the oppressors, people who made themselves wealthy off of the backs of you poor Liberian people who supported them. They are trying to reinvent themselves. That is all this is about, to reinvent themselves. Do not fall for it. I'm not surprised that the streets are still empty. By this time, on June 7th or January 6th, the streets of Monrovia were littered with human beings milling, trooping into central town. By this time, Capitol building, the grounds of the Capitol building were filled to the brim with human beings, with Liberians from all walks of life. Seditions, unity party people, non-partisan people, they were all there. All across the country, stores and shops and offices were closed. By this time, why do you think that's not happening now? Because you know what? No auditors have been murdered by this administration. Joe Boakai has not built himself brand new mansions. He hasn't built condominiums. He hasn't stolen $25 million in a failed fraudulent mop-up exercise. $16 billion hadn't gone missing. No, absolutely not. Those things hadn't happened, and that is why this so-called fiasco copycat protest has no momentum whatsoever. It's dead upon arrival. How can you you were just the chairman of CDC for 6 good years. You yourself, in your own words, condemn your government as being corrupt. Accuse your president of engaging in wanton corruption. Accused him of hiring his girlfriends in the government and abandoning the ordinary poor citizens who gave their lives that party may come to power. How can you, that same person who said those things, come now and say there are reasons for wisdom of protest? This government is not perfect, but can you compare this government to your government? The shortcomings of this government far fail astronomically in comparison to the woeful, cataclysmic, bad governance and just outright recklessness and madness that we saw in your government. By this time, in your administration, George Weah had already become a multi-millionaire. Joe Boakai still leads the modest life he's always led. So you shut up. You have no reason whatsoever. And that is why you do not have what it takes to inspire and rally the people. And to you, the masses, look at your lives and look at the lives of the people who are calling the protest. Yesterday, I saw a video on Facebook of George Weah in Nigeria, Lagos. He was being carried away in a fleet of expensive vehicles. I saw him get in a $500,000 $500,000 Rolls Royce Cullinan with a light blue, baby blue interior. George Weah. Carrasco is on Facebook telling you that tomorrow will demand answers. He's in Lagos with George Weah. They're enjoying themselves, flying private jet. Do you know that the private jet George Weah still flies today was paid for by us before they left power? Do you know that? You need to stop letting people use you as cannon fodder. You're better than that. Your mother and your father didn't bring you into this world so that you can be used only to help people go up, improve their own lives at your expense. By this time, the Unity Party had endorsed the protest. The ANC, led by Alexander Cumming, had endorsed the protest. The ALP, led by Benana Ure, had endorsed the protest and was present. So was Cummings. But why do you think they're not endorsing the protest? Because Mr. Weah doesn't even care about you. This is not even about George Weah. All George Weah wants to do is to be left alone so that he can enjoy his massive loot while you languishing in abject poverty. And now we talk about hardship. There is hardship in the country. But the hardship in the country was inherited by this administration. It was not created by this administration. In the 4th and 5th year of this administration's tenure, if it cannot strategically and realistically address the woeful economic conditions in the country, then of course it becomes their problem. But for now, you cannot in good conscience blame Joe Boakai for the woeful hardship in the country. Inflation is coming down, prices are reducing. We need to attract investments, and that is what the president is fixated on. But for you to make it look like it is he who has caused these conditions to happen, you had 6 years in power. You were voted for by the ordinary people from Gibraltar, from West Point. So was Joe Boakai. And you can see him working towards addressing these critical issues that afflict the people. But we will not sit here. We who led the men and women of this country on the front line in a peaceful, historic, and democratic fashion. Something that cannot be compared to anything that has ever happened in this country. For you to make it look like you and us are the same, or the reasons for which we did ours are the same reasons that exist today, those reasons do not exist. Name one auditor that has been murdered. Show me one mansion that has been built by Joe Boakai. Show me. To you poor citizens, stay home. Do not follow Mulbah Morlu. He's built himself a mansion. He drives a Range Rover. Some of you don't have Babi Solo. Do not. He also has a Chevrolet. He has a fleet of cars. You call it revolution? Do you know what a revolution is? A revolution is a struggle with a central collective agenda to improve the general welfare of the society. Stop misusing the word revolution. A revolution is not about a few people coming to power and enriching themselves, while the people who help make it possible remain poor. Do not allow anyone to use you. You're better than that. How dare you try to compare yourself to Joe Biden? You see, that's why I say I don't blame you. I blame the LACC and the Ministry of Justice, because if they were serious and working hard to hold you all to account, the millions that you stole, that you were sitting here and enjoying yourselves, if they were holding you to account, dragging you to court, putting your behinds in jail, you would not be passing around here talking about protests. I blame them. If you all were in court confessing to your heinous economic crimes against the Liberian people, your base would abandon you. They would not be thinking about supporting you in a so-called protest. So you cannot be like us. We made history. The reason the world media descended on this town, the reason right after June 7th, the very next month in July, we were able to get Senator Darius Dillon elected senator is because the people were rallied and they saw where they were living, they saw the reality. And so do not waste your time. Today, to all well-meaning Liberians, go about your normal business, as I will do. This, you will not be allowed to get away with this conjecture and this fake comparison and this moral equivalency argument. Because we did it, so too you can do it. No, the reasons are different. The reasons are different. Joseph Boakai is not George Weah. To you, do not be followed. Morlu has several vehicles. He lives a good life. He has a big house. His suitcases are Louis Vuitton. I don't even have Louis Vuitton bags. Not that I can afford them, but they were having so much money that they could afford to buy Louis Vuitton suitcases for several hundreds of dollars. Go about your normal business. Do your deeds. Hustle for your living bread, your daily bread. Pray so that the country may prosper, so that you may get jobs. Your lives are more important than just supporting politicians and allowing them to use you to further their own agenda. Thank you so much. God bless you.